I have a cautionary tale to share with you. I want to talk about how our frustration and anger and a sense of wanting to get even can really get us in trouble. And I'm going to use to illustrate this the story of Galileo, the man who is considered the father of modern science. Galileo lived in a time when everyone thought that the Earth was stationary and that the sun and everything else went around the Earth. And Copernicus showed up and gave an argument that it was the other way around, that we went around the sun, and the sun was really at the center, and heresy, of course. And Galileo came along with some pretty compelling evidence that Copernicus might have been right. And he, at the time, this was the time of the Inquisition, so he faced some pretty serious opposition, and he was quickly silenced in his efforts to spread the word and about what was called the heliocentric universe, the sun-centered universe, as well as other ideas, revolutionary ideas, scientific ideas that he brought about. Well, he remained silent. He was good. He followed the law, and he remained silent for a long time until a friend of his in the Catholic Church became Pope. And this friend was rather liberal in his thinking, and decided to allow Galileo to create a publication in which he could argue. The Pope told him he could argue both sides of the case, the side for the sun going around the Earth and the side for the Earth going around the sun. But Galileo was told he was not to specifically endorse the sun-centered argument, just give the arguments in both cases. Galileo was thrilled, and he went out and wrote a groundbreaking book on the subject, in which he used characters to tell the story of both sides of the argument. And this is where I think Galileo's frustration over his previous years of forced silence gave way. He chose to create one of the character that would argue for the Earth-centered universe, everything going around the Earth, was a man, I think he called him Simplicio or something like that. It's basically based a root word of simpleton, basically, or it could be interpreted as simpleton. Something like Simplicio or something like that. Can't quite remember. And as if that wasn't bad enough, so he's basically he's hobbling the one advocate of the Earth-centered one with a rather derogatory name, or at least a slander, giving him a bad image. That wasn't bad enough. He went and put the words of the Pope into the mouth of this character, this Simplicio character, whoever it was. Now, on the face of it, you're thinking, gosh, can't you just see Galileo writing away? I'm going to show them, I'm going to create this Simplicio character, I'm going to put the words of the Pope right in there. They're going to teach them. Well, needless to say, the Pope was not very impressed, nor were the other officials, and the Inquisition was certainly least of all impressed. And he was called to trial, and the sentence was harsh. He wasn't killed. I guess he was lucky there, but he was sentenced to house arrest, for which he remained in for the rest of his life. He was not allowed to publish any more materials. Basically, he was silenced in a way, and he was given as penance. He was to read special religious text every week, a complete series every week. His daughter later assumed that responsibility from him. But the point of the matter is, Galileo was a brilliant thinker. He had some amazing ideas. He held his tongue. His anger grew. His frustration grew. When his chance came, he let that anger and that frustration contaminate his work to such a point that he basically lost the battle in the short term. He ended up winning the war long term, of course. We now revere Galileo as one of the most brilliant thinkers and one of the fathers of modern science in so many fields. An incredible man in many ways. But it's a shame that he let his frustration get to him in that way. Who knows what he could have, what other works he could have produced. He did write works during his, he did write while he was in his house, but they just simply weren't allowed to be published during the latter part of his life. They were published posthumously, I think. Anyway, the lesson for us, I think, and for me, I can't tell you what to do, but for me is that I want to learn from Galileo's mistake. I want to when my ideas are not freely, I'm not free to share my ideas. or when I've been persecuted in any way, like I've ever known persecution. But whenever that might happen, I need to be careful to watch out with my anger and my frustration when opportunity presents itself, lest I contaminate and ruin the subsequent opportunity. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Remember Galileo, don't make his mistake. Don't let your ego and vanity and anger and frustration get in the way. Let's just stay calm. I'll try to. Take care. Bye-bye.